The Community Environment Partnership for Eastbourne started in 2009. It was a group of councillors and local interested bodies who got together to put the environment first. One of the issues surrounding the environment was putting our parks and gardens and enhancing them and improving them for the benefit of all. That includes our large parks like Hamden Park, Princess Park, etc., but also community gardens. And we're looking at community garden projects in areas of the town, and this is the first such site. This is a piece of wasteland, if you like, between Dursley and Winchcombe, which we identified about 18 months ago as ideal for a community garden. We could transform it to be used by locals and to be run by locals. The local authority have assisted in clearing the wasteland and providing materials, but ultimately it will be down to local residents to run and maintain the garden as they see fit. And this is the first big day with lots of volunteers coming out to help kickstart this project.
This is the first project of Transition. And Transition is about being aware of the fact that we're running out of oil and stuff like that, and that people are building within a communities more resilience. I mean, growing more food, saving water, doing all kinds of things like solar power and stuff. And Transition is something that just evolves, it emerges. And what we've done here is a few of us have got together from Friends of the Earth, and we met with a couple of councillors, Steve Wallace and Jim Murray, and they were very keen because they had land that they wanted, to done up. It was basically, this was a problem piece of land. They tried to do things with it before, and one of the residents had taken over, and then he left. So we came up with the idea of building what we call a community orchard here. This is going to be a lot more than a community orchard. It's an ideal space because of the houses all around, and people are close. This is kind of like a lovely cove of community. So what we're doing here is we're building things that the residents want. It's not, it's a public space, but at the same time we want to make it beautiful, and we want it to be an example. It's going to have a kids area. We've got raised beds with beautiful flowers. We've got 3 trees going in there. One of them will be an apple tree. The other 2 may be apples, we're not sure. They'll have a lot of stuff planted around them in the permaculture style to feed them and make sure that everything works with everything else. It's like a sort of symbiotic system. Those trees will produce fruit. That fruit will be, we would like to have signs up saying help yourself. This is the spirit that we're trying to create here. And it's just amazing because we had the first meeting with the residents here, and they came up with all their wants and needs, and they were very sceptical because it had been messed up before by this other resident. And Steve Wallace was really keen to get it going, so they came up with their needs, and we've designed this. Karen Stewart and myself designed it according to what they want. So apart from the fruit trees that we want, there's a kids area. There's going to be an area they can bring a barbecue and possibly later build a cob oven, which would be a project that would come and help build it, made out of natural buildings, for them to cook pizzas and stuff in. Somewhere for them to sit, somewhere for the older people with some shade. One of the trees will provide a shade. And then at the far end, we're going to put raised beds with where people can grow vegetables. This is a sun trap. We get sun, all the time here when we get sun. It is England. And then we're going to put gooseberry bush all along the edge. It's not saying keep out, but it's actually deterring anyone who would just want to walk across it. It's a psychological but beautiful deterrent because the gooseberries will eventually produce fruit that people will be free to help themselves to. And we're going to have some lavender and rosemary and possibly a herb bed and all that kind of thing. So, and there'll be paths meandering through it, which will probably be with wood bark or something like that. But basically what we're doing here today is we're doing what's called a sheet mulch. You clear all the rubble, the grass and stuff like that, and then you lay cardboard over the ground, and then you cover it with manure or compost. And what that does is suppress all the weeds, sends all the weeds that exist into the earth to feed it, and then afterwards we can cut out holes in it to plant the trees in and the various other things that go around it. Obviously not all of it is going to be growing area, and we've still got to think about whether we have grass that needs to be mown or whether we have meadow type of grass that is very prickly and smelly. So there's lots of things that, but this is great because all the communities pulled together. I'm amazed at how many people have turned up.
I'm so pleased to see today's efforts because my mother's been fighting for over 60 years to get something done about this piece of land, and about 18 months ago a community garden was set up. Friends of the Earth and Community Orchards have stepped in to assist us via Steve Wallace's assistance, and now it finally looks as if it's going to happen, and my mum will have her place to sit on a sunny day.
So what we're going to do is we're going to break each area up into about 7 or 8 areas, have a meeting before each area, planning what we're actually going to do in there, involving all of you guys, and then raising some money so that we can go off and buy the bits and pieces that we need for it.
Hello, I'm Max. I like Transition Town movement because people can take matters into their own hands without relying on bigger institutions like government or the council.
I am delighted that Eastbourne Live has come down here to film this today because as the sort of self-appointed PR media officer or whatever it is, because I've done a lot of that stuff before, is I realise the value of good press. And what I hope will happen is that when other people in Eastbourne see what the community has done together and how not only have they begun to create this beautiful space together, but they've also, it forms bonds between people when you're gardening together, when you're doing stuff together. And we just hope this is going to be a huge inspiration to everyone else in Eastbourne who is sitting around thinking, you know, why don't they do something, to get together and say, hey, you know, let's do it ourselves. And of course there's funds available from the council, there's lots of grants available. We'll be producing a lot of information on our website eastbournetransition.org to help people find resources where they can get grants and funds and volunteers and stuff like that. I see this as a amazing dream come true, and when I came back to England my dream was to make Eastbourne edible and I had no idea, and then I bumped into a bunch of people and they're already getting it together, so it was fantastic.